my extraordinary charisma to charm our single viewer. Hello, viewer, if you're there.
Oh, I get it, because you are the viewer.
Yeah, because I am the viewer, exactly.
Verbal
plus 12.
fellatio.
And I still fail the roll. Who's this dick? Why am I tuning in again? Oh yeah, that's right. I've not even got the right screen up. There we go. There we go. D&D screen, sort of.
Well done. So, now that the beaming black hole of negative charisma has managed to make its way out of the discussion topic, why don't we get started with a brief recap of the previous session's events?
Ah, yes. The capturing.
If you like, you can go backwards in time or forwards in time.
Well, we can't recap last week's event by going forwards in time. That would be just silly. But we can say that we were going to try and question an orc for why he was basically disappearing people, enslaving them, and generally whether or not he had any evidence with regards to the incrimination of Hillary Clinton. And then, for no particular reason whatsoever, a random halfling jumped across the room and blew his brains out.
Indeed.
We could do going forward. All we have to do is just explain exactly what's going to happen in this session, call it a day, and that's going to be the shortest session yet.
Oh, that's easy. We're going to try and find a cleric to speak with the dead so we can actually question this slightly unfortunate orc. And we're probably not going to be allowed to do that for whatever reason the DM can come up with, at which point we'll just get frustrated and argue a fair bit about it.
That would be hilarious, wouldn't it? There are a few details that have been missed out from the recap there, I'm mad.
I did sum up 4 hours in about 30 seconds, so I'm yes.
Hey, we started the recap.
So, a few of the key details that I feel as though may be rather important for what you choose to do during this session. First of all, as evidenced by the fact that when he first walked through the door and was subjected to extreme prejudice from the party, he in fact was not an orc. He appeared to be a fairly conventional looking human. It was only after expiring did the orc turn green, revealing his true nature.
Being brutally murdered by
Trig. That's not to say there weren't several clues put in place for us to suspect him.
We just walked to basically coup de grace him.
Fucking dead.
It's also worth pointing out that prior to the orc revealing himself to be an orc, you guys were not actually aware of what his species was.
Well, we knew he wasn't human.
We knew he was writing in Orcish in the book.
I knew he was vulnerable to shatter.
You didn't know that he was writing in Orcish in the book. You knew that he was writing in a foreign language.
No, we knew he was writing in a foreign language. We knew that he wasn't human, or that he was pretending to be human. We also knew that he was involved in a slavery ring.
Yeah, and also, dude I was contacting via fucking mind talk spell thing did say it might be Orcish.
Indeed, he did say it might be Orcish. Yes. So there was a clue.
There was.
That was a pretty good clue. It might be Orcish.
Yeah. If he's a.
And all the lights were out downstairs, and there was no lighting option. So we knew that it was going to be a
someone who carries a torch around all the time.
Yeah, non-human, possibly vampire or drow or orc.
Or weirdo that carries a torch around in his own house.
Yes. No, he doesn't have the teeth, so he might be half human, half orc. Or is Orcman or Humorc?
Well, I will not humorc this line of thought.
I'm going to ask you to roll me a intelligence or perhaps a nature check. Your choice.
Well, I'm particularly not good at either of those, so Which one am I
Wait, that
worse
proves that he's not a half-orc because it's not artificial, therefore not human-made.
at? Intelligence or nature check, you said?
Yes.
Medicine check.
Actually, that would make
A
sense.
medicine check would also make sense.
That'd make more sense.
So, Trig, given the fact that you have rolled a 16, I will say that you are able to make a couple of quick connections. First of all, you are aware that under normal circumstances, even a half-breed orc still has visible tusks. It looks like a prominent underbite, but there are visible nubs where the bottom canine teeth grow to an extra level of prominence, and that it is typically rather unusual for this to be hidden. Much like a rodent, these particular teeth never stop growing.
Okay.
Gross.
In the case of full-bred orcs, they grow at a considerable speed and can be used as effectively impromptu weapons if they grow to a sufficiently long length. So the fact that this particular orc here appears to have almost entirely conventional looking teeth is something to be a little bit suspicious of.
So he's
Be
a
a
spy.
changeling.
Kiki, with your 15 medicine, I would say that you are able to examine these teeth and gather the fact that it does appear as though there has been some degree of artificial shortening, whether it be through breaking them off or filing or perhaps just extreme overuse.
That sounds painful.
Or he's a quarter orc, a quark.
That is also a possibility.
You know, if we collected an orc and just kept it in a box, do you think we could make a mint selling cut-offs from the teeth to dentists to carve into dentures?
It's possible. Perhaps you should consider it. It certainly wouldn't be out of the remit of the morality of this party.
What did he mean by that?
Ah, I see that Bobby has changed his nickname again.
Yes. You know the whole sort of Bilbo who is barrel rider and you know he who hides in caves and he who goes unseen and slayer of spiders, etc. Well,
Yes.
I'm following on that glorious tradition of many nicknames.
That makes sense.
You know, as halflings do, apparently.
Well, remember, halflings are legally distinct from hobbits.
Because of litigation from Tolkien. Yes.
Correct. All that
I don't think
said,
they can. Didn't they sell the rights?
They have now sold the rights, and as a result, we have bollocks like we had on fucking Prime, where they started to rewrite
the
it.
rangs of power. Anyway,
We
before we
was
get
rangs.
sidetracked with that absolute bullshit, let's ask the party what their current plan is. We return to the events of the in-game world with the party staring over the body of an orc with a visible tunnel bored through the side of its head.
Right.
I immediately look at Bobby and just think what an idiot he is.
Anyone know any
Why did he have to go and do a
necromancers?
thing like that? I had him under control.
Well, now he's definitely under control. Hold his head
Yes.
up and look. Can
Well,
I
you
see?
go on.
Can I see?
Interrogate him.
Can I see all the way through? And out the other side.
It's still a bit drippy, but yeah, you actually can.
Right. Do priests in this world have the ability to cast Speak with Dead, generally?
Generally speaking, yes. However, I'll just give you this without asking you to make a roll for information on it. Largely speaking, if you walk up to a house of one of the gods and you just drop a corpse on the ground and say, "Hey, we need to ask this guy some questions. Help?" Chances are they're
Yes.
just going to call the police.
Right, yeah,
Okay,
okay. So we weekend at Bernie's him
but-
over there.
But remember, towards the end of last session, we
Orc, so it's
stuffed.
okay.
We successfully stuffed the orc into a sleeping bag, which held all the drippy bits in, and stored it inside the parlor.
Did.
Okay.
Which means
It's
we can at
not-
least explain ourselves first.
It's not about having to try and get the corpse to the priest. It's about trying to get the priest to cast Speak with Dead without first going, "Ah!"
Well, okay, I've got a plan for that, actually. Because
Would the priest care that we killed an orc?
maybe not. Depends on the priest.
We can at least
It does
talk
depend
to
on
the
the priest.
priest before he knows that we're bringing a corpse, because it's in an extra dimensional space.
Right, we've got one. I've got one more cast of sending that I can do today. I'm going to suggest that I use it to oh god, what was his name? Ballsack Stinkybeard or something. The guy that hired us.
It was Bullsack Stinkybeard.
I think it was exactly that.
Yeah, let's go with that. Why not?
Right, okay. I'm going to do sending on Ballsack Stinkybeard. Go right. Well, we've kind of apprehended this orc, but he struggled a bit in the apprehension, so now he's less apprehensive. In fact, he's dead. Do you happen to have someone that can extract information from a orc corpse?
How many words is that, and do the others count?
I will shrink it down to the appropriate amount of words, i.e., found perp, killed perp, need to interrogate corpse. Can you help? Question mark. Smiley face. XD.
Question mark and smiley face are, of course, not emojis, but words that have been added on to the end.
Yes,
Oh
they
no,
are.
but
And
that's
I'm pretty
4
sure
more
with
words.
that, I'm pretty sure that with that shortening, it does indeed fit within the 25 word limit, and you get a response of good. There's an audible pause where you can almost hear the gears turning in the dwarf's head as he says, "I'll meet you at the address of Martin Fogg's.
Groovy.
Be there as promptly as you can."
Okay. Are we not there already?
That's where we are, isn't it?
You are there.
Awesome, lads.
That's
Put on the
convenient.
cowl.
Yeah.
There is, by the way, something that occurred to me over the previous week that I failed to mention during the session, but which is absolutely worth mentioning. Shatter does bonus damage to structures.
I was waiting to. I knew that's what you were about to say. I just wanted to say it. I was waiting for it.
With this little piece of information brought to light, your party would be aware of the fact that the door frame
Kind of fucked.
It's a lot bigger.
It kind of looks like somebody has attacked it with many very small axes. and the door itself is no longer attached. And all the windows on the front of the house are gone.
And how close were the windows?
The closest window was within the blast radius. The other windows, which bear in mind are all on the ground floor, on the ones on the front of the house, of which there are two, the closest one, which was in the blast radius, and the slightly more distant one, they are both gone. One of them is practically reduced to powder. The other one looks as though it's been taken out by a passing blast wave.
Right.
So large shattered chunks.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys,
I don't think it should damage things beyond the 10 foot, but ones within it should be absolutely destroyed.
Right. In that case, we definitely get the kettle on, and if anybody asks, we get some tape measures out, maybe a hammer, and some saws. And if anybody asks and goes, "What's going on off here?" We're just going, "Landlord's having some work doing. We're just having a tea break, and we'll get the door fitted shortly."
I would like all of you to roll me a history check, please.
Mm-hmm.
History. Okay.
This is literally to recall events from the previous session.
Do we really have to roll to recall something that happened last session? Like, because there are characters that happened like earlier that day.
Yeah.
In Trig's case, apparently, yes.
Well, upon Bobby mentioning pulling out stuff and making yourselves look like construction workers, Cardgar is the first to point out that there's a pack of woodworking and stoneworking tools in the building inside the cupboard.
You know what? Fair enough. I had forgotten that. Great.
Why don't
God,
we just
get them out.
why don't we just use illusion?
Well, no, just get the
Just
tools out.
Illusion the door back.
What's? Oh, fine.
Or you want me to actually build a door?
No. I want us to be sat around having a cup of tea with some tools around us. So if anybody asks, we look like workmen.
Well, I don't see any reason not to grab the
we
tools.
could summon up some tape and pylons, with the black and yellow stripes around the door.
You don't even need to do that. Just have a tape measure, a screwdriver or two, and a saw, and go. Yeah, we're just on a tea break at the moment, love. We'll get it sorted out. Might have to pop out to Wix in a minute to go get a few bits, and then we bugger off and never come back. Like workmen.
Like a very specific kind of workman, but yes, like workmen.
A very specific kind. That's most workmen.
I was going to say that is literally most workmen. We then come back in a month or two and charge them for 3 months' work, and then badly
Christ.
fit the door.
Why do I get the impression you're speaking from personal experience?
I used to live on a building site.
Delightful.
So
Right.
used to build houses.
You
stepfather's
are
building.
a party of bards with a professional conman as one of the members.
Yes.
I would say you can just make a convincing show of this.
Yep.
I would hope so.
Also, guys, never forget an important charisma roll. Have me do it.
I mean, yeah, absolutely, but we're all pretty fucking good at it. But yes, you are the best at it, without a doubt.
I wouldn't say the best. I'd say the most consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, yes, given that he has that one feature.
Yes. My silver tongue, where if I persuasion or deception, my minimum roll is a 10. Not to mention in both of those I have a +8.
I believe he
That's
has a
8.
+10.
Yeah, you're like
Yep.
18.
Well, it's +8, minimum 8. So yeah, the worst I can do is 18 on any of those.
Yeah. Pretty fucking convincing. That would explain the narcissistic tendencies of your character, It's just, he's literally always gotten his own way.
Also, performance and intimidation. While I don't have the reliability, I have plus 11 in those.
Plus
So.
10 in performance, 10 in deception. So yeah, we do okay on these things, certainly, yeah.
So, with all that said,
Mhm.
it takes about 40 minutes, and the dwarf finally turns up, Mr. Grum Shiftbeard, as he turns up and sees you all just kind of looking like, well, construction workers. And he looks at you and says, Oh, that I see. Shall I come in?
Nothing's stopping you. The door's off its hinges. By all means, come in, Grum.
I see.
I illusion a door into existence and have it open. Progressively, like I illusion a new door slightly more open, like a few times.
So you stop motion a door open over the course of approximately 30 seconds.
I was thinking more like 18 seconds, like I'll cast it and then every 6 seconds afterwards I'll do a third of the way.
I mean,
Right,
we could half that for a smoother frame rate if I help.
Yeah, this is a cantrip. We can all chip in. How many casting balls do we need to make the 60 frames?
I mean,
we would need 10. We need 10 people.
10 bards.
No, sorry, we need six people to do that. Yeah, yeah, we need 6 bards to do that. So with just 3 of us, we could have it every other second.
Wait.
Oh well, that would be 30 frames.
No.
I mean, it'll be good enough for video games.
For 60 frames per second, at a rate of 1 cast every 6 seconds, you need 60 times 6 bards to achieve 60 FPS.
No, because you can cast 10 in a minute, and so you need 60 in a minute. Think of it as every 6 seconds. So with 2 people, you'd have every 3 seconds.
no, that's
With 3 people, you'd have every 2 seconds.
That's 60 frames a minute, not 60 frames a second.
Yeah. Pretty sure I got the right answer.
Did I say second? No.
You okay.
So you could do 10 a minute, right?
If you wanted 1 frame per second, you would need 6 bards.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
To get 60 frames per second,
I meant minute.
You would need that.
I meant minutes. I meant minute. I did not mean second, okay?
Okay.
That would require a lot.
A lot of bards, right, yeah.
In either case, 360 minor illusory bards in order to produce a 60 FPS animation. That is useful information somewhere.
This could start an entire industry of film or something. I don't know.
Yeah, rich people getting a whole bunch of magic users to do this for them.
Or if you can get some kind of extra planar creature that you can create for the purpose of casting minor illusions, you could store them all in an extra planar box and have them project their minor illusion onto the front of it like a screen.
You could get
I think we've solved it.
You could get a book of wards and have greater illusion on each page as a ward, and then get the book and do a large flick book of illusions.
Okay. If you were to have 144 bards, you could have a 24 FPS continuous information animation.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you can get a bunch of
Alternatively,
spellcasting servants.
Alternatively, you could have 1 bard with the ability to cast major illusion.
Yeah.
As I'm pretty sure that allows for animated illusions.
Yes, but I didn't want to use up a spell slot. I considered that in the first place, but I didn't want to use up a spell slot.
Well, we all have minor illusion. There's 5 of us, 4 of us, some number. We can at least get some bit of an animation going here.
Anyway, after
illusioning a door opening for him. Yes.
After 18 seconds are spent casting a door and then slowly opening it up, whilst the dwarven councilman looks on with an air of uneasy silence, he finally steps through the now open doorway and says, looking concerningly
6 seconds later, I close it.
Yeah, he just looks at you, Essig, and says, "Thank you." And
I bow politely.
He steps over the bloody smear on the front of the stepway, as I presume you guys have yet to scrub that clean.
Oh yeah,
anyone got prestidigitation? We would have had time to do it.
Does anybody in your party have prestidigitation?
I don't.
Yes.
You do have prestidigitation.
Yes.
In that case, yeah, if you want to, you could have used that spell in order to clean up the mess.
No, but now that he's walked over it, I do that.
Amazing. So you wait until after he gingerly steps over the bloody mess before you attempt to clean this up.
Yeah, no one had discussed it beforehand. I ain't retroactive to this shit.
Excellent. Anyway,
If it actually mattered, I might, but
the dwarf seemingly naturally just walks downstairs and sits down at the table.
Why does he go downstairs?
You get the impression that dwarven houses tend to have their living space underground rather than on the ground floor.
Okay, I guess.
Given that you yourself are a dwarf, I'm giving you that information for free.
All right. I guess do we follow him down there so we can actually have a conversation?
no.
No?
No.
Okay, after around 20 seconds or so, you hear the man call up and say,
We should go down there.
Is there a problem?
Go right down.
Right up.
Being fashionably late, I walk down.
As he sees you come down the stairs, he says, I hope everything's okay.
Well, sort
So,
of.
have we dragged the bag down here with us, by the way?
It's in your house, isn't it? In your parlour.
Yeah, I'll open the parlour up and I'll drag the sleeping bag out.
Righto.
So, how do we talk to this guy when he's dead? I know there's like some wizards and things that can do that sort of thing, right?
Oh, that's him, is it?
It was, yes.
That's Martin.
I mean, we think so. He didn't say much.
Yeah.
Yet.
I glance at Treg again.
You didn't figure out which is which.
No, we didn't. He struggled. We didn't get to question him. He might have blown his brains out by accident.
I won't ask.
I'll go just raise it.
Every 6 seconds, I have a progressing animation of how that happened. Of just like a head. Slowly
I have a
destroyed.
suggestion, Coatrack.
Yes.
You can use minor illusion to create a 2D image.
Yes.
I once played a character that communicated exclusively through the use of creating minor illusions to either communicate through subtitles or communicate through the use of comic book strips.
Was this a Kenku by chance?
A character in an anime like that.
It was. Using minor illusion to depict series of events in the form of comic book panels is a surprisingly effective way to convey information. But that said, as I presume that you go through the process of gradually depicting the play-by-play of the fight of him being subjected to a extremely
execution.
high roll shatter and the
No,
grappling
just the
from
execution.
just the execution, just the part where Bobby jumps up, claps his head with his hands and fires off an eldritch blast, boring a hole through his skull. Okay,
I'm not
got
putting
it.
a lot of effort into this. I'm just using minor illusion to do that. Yeah.
Well, once this information is conveyed, the dwarf looks at you, Bobby, and says, I can see that you really didn't have much opportunity to ask him questions, did you?
Not really. But he's green, therefore bad.
I ended with a minor illusion of the really gross wishing sound that his head made when he killed him.
And we also got these books and stuff, so I'm going to grab the books and come back down.
Thank you, Elf. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, we also got these books and other things that we were talking about before. Go and run upstairs, grab those, bring those back down. You know,
All right.
The ones that we did the
Let's...
comprehend languages on to get the gist of what was going off.
He takes a look over the book and says, yes, that's definitely Orcish. Can't speak it myself, but I know enough of it to be able to identify what it is. All right, then. We don't know who this is, whether it's Martin or Oren. But given the fact that this is an orc, and apparently one that had been making some effort to keep himself concealed, we can assume that he was up to no good. I know someone who would be able to provide us with some extra information. For now, this needs to be kept under the radar.
Absolutely.
Wait, what's a radar?
You
have to understand, this needs to be kept hush.
We'll keep it hush hush. We won't be writing any songs about it just yet. Although.
Good. Before this goes any further, I need to ask you. Are you willing to continue operating under these circumstances? Are you willing to continue investigating this on my behalf? Or is this where you're making your exit?
I don't remember why we started, but I don't see why we'd quit.
I don't know. Seems fun, yeah.
I really don't know why we started this.
We were bored and looking for something to do.
That's literally the reason why.
Yeah. Sure. No, this was fun.
That's probably why I forgot.
Do we get to kill more orcs?
I hope not, but probably. Okay, he says with an obvious look of concern. Right then, give me a moment. You see as he pulls out a wand and sends off some information and says, okay, we should be having somebody turn up in about, hopefully within the hour. In the meantime, if you've got questions, I can provide answers.
So where do we find a priest or a necromancer or someone who can question this guy then?
No need. I've already sent off for somebody to come to this address.
Cool.
We should be having a friend of mine who's not a necromancer per se, but he's a wizard. And he has the necessary magical knowledge to be able to extract information from corpses.
Is there any chance of getting, like, a new sleeping bag? Because I kind of don't want to sleep in this one.
You know, that's understandable. How much did that one cost you?
I can't remember, honestly. It was so long ago.
Right, okay. He pulls out a small coin purse and pulls out a handful of gold pieces and puts them on the table and says, I can't imagine a sleeping bag would cost anything more than this.
Thank you.
As you see that there's 6 gold on the table.
I could get one with like a fuzzy lining for that as well. That's most gracious of you. Thank you.
Aye, it's just consider it part of being cooperative.
And hopefully this one serves you well in moving this sack around.
Well, as a matter of fact, I see that you've got some dimensional nonsense there with that room that you summoned in. I was hoping that you wouldn't mind using that to transport the body.
I mean, it might make the office smell a bit. How long is it going to be in there?
Oh, I can't imagine more than a day or two.
A day or two?
No. I mean, he won't be... Okay. You can see he looks flustered as he clearly said the wrong thing. I can sort him to be transported somewhere, but that won't be for a day or two. But until then, he can stay in his former dwelling. It would be very useful to be able to get him out of here without needing to pull him out the front door. Let's just put it that way.
Can you not just use a bag of holding?
No. Bags of holding aren't big enough for that. If I had a portable hole, that might work, but I don't have something for that.
But you'll just give me a shout when, because give me some notice as well, because I keep a dog in there as well, and
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Don't want your dog getting snacky.
It's a big dog too. It would be like, oh, here's a bit of foot. It would be all that's left, and that ain't going to talk.
No. Typically, a head is required for the kind of magics that.
If we drew some eyes on it and cut like a mouth into the heel, do you think we could make it talk?
No. Okay.
Hold the fist in it. Hold the hand in a fist and move the thumb up and down. Draw some eyes just on the fingers, on the knuckle, either side of the knuckle.
Yeah, I saw it in that. I saw it in that play, Underground Maze. With all the goblins.
I've got a question for you. You mentioned that you were able to figure out that was a sales ledger, did you not?
Yes.
Yes.
Which of you was the one that did that?
That would be me.
Right then, he says, facing towards you, Bobby. What information were you able to find out about it?
Well, it appears to be a ledger that details the selling. There didn't seem to be any names in it, if I remember rightly.
There were names, weren't there?
Were there names?
We just didn't have, names and prices.
Names and prices.
There were names and there were prices. That was all the information you were able to find.
Yeah.
Right, and I presume that you did this with some form of magics.
Yes.
Comprehend languages. If I had to guess.
That'll be the one.
Right then, and is that still active for you, or would you need to reactivate that?
Oh, that's a good question. How long's it been? I can reactivate it if needs be. Let's have a look at how long it's been though. It's been
It has been about 45 minutes so far. Actually, closer to 50.
so I would have 10 minutes left on it at most.
Right, sir. You see, as he flips through the pages of this book, he is looking through, and he turns all the way to the back of the book, and he notes how towards the back it's all just blank pages until it gets to one last bit of text, and he says, "This looks conspicuous. What does this say?" And as you take a look at the book, you read it, and it just says Grumug clan.
Huh.
I assume you relay this to the dwarf?
Absolutely. I will go, that says Grumug clan.
As you
Interesting.
say this, you notice that a bit of colour drains out of the man
Doesn't turn
as
green.
he looks at you and says, "Are you sure it said that? Grumug?"
Grumug. Yeah, that's what it says.
Oh, shite. Okay.
So we gonna have to wipe out that clan?
Oh, I wish that was an option. Tell me, what do you know about the city of Ulrigburg?
Ulrigburg?
Aye,
Not a lot.
the unofficial capital of the nation of the orcs.
Ooh, that's that one. That's right all the way up in the north.
That's the one.
It's kind of due east and then a long way from where we're from, actually. But yeah, a lot of mountains in the way.
Aye,
I suppose not
it's
from here if you
actually-
went by sea. But yeah, I can't really see much because there's Kiki's blooming thing in the way on the map at the moment.
I did put it down small. I don't know why it's so big.
All right. Well,
Can you move it or something?
Ulrigburg is the de facto capital city of the orcs. It's where they do all of their trading of people and labor and things of that nature.
Okay.
And well, to put a long story short, the Grumugs own the place.
Ah. Good to be them, I guess.
Aye, good to be them and bad to be whoever pisses them off. Which
I don't know,
I
this guy
hope-
wasn't too tough.
So what do you reckon? We go all the way over there, paint ourselves green, stick some teeth in, pretend to be orc children, and do a bit of investigating.
Well, you can certainly try that, but I'm not sure how successful you'll be.
Sounds
That
a bit-
sounds quite fun, actually.
Could be a bit dangerous, but you know, we could bare-face it. Oh, not him, pointing to Coat Essig, because he's a bit tall and lanky for a orc child or an orc.
Aye.
He's off, so you might make him shorter.
We could paint him green and give him a padded jacket.
If he was a bit wider in the shoulders, he might be able to pass off as a female, but no, that wouldn't work either.
Get a few drinks down and they'll give an orc a nasty surprise.
He continues to stare at you.
Let me give you a little history lesson on the orcs over there whilst my associate turns up. So, as you've pointed out, and as my heavily defaced map suggests, that area of the world is not exactly easily accessible. In fact, specifically, it wasn't discovered until about 80 years ago now, I'd say. Ulrichberg is not itself a capital city, but is instead more of just the place where the traders coming from the city of Port Manley, I think it's called, the human place to the south of here.
Right, yeah. Actually, you know what? I can tell it's not a capital
where
city.
we got the dogs from?
No. Might have been. Yeah.
Port Manley is where you got the dogs from, yes.
Yeah. You know what? You can tell it's not a capital city. That U is definitely not a capital letter. Look, it's like a little U. I point at the map.
He takes a close look and says, "Aye, I can see that. But anyway, the reason why it's not a real capital is because that would imply that there are other places that are allied with it. But that's not really the case. The orcs, before they encountered the humans, were tribalistic peoples. Think lots of isolated villages and clans and things of that nature.
Oh, sounds like home.
Yes, I was just thinking that. Do they do lots of farming and picking of turnips and singing of songs?
As a matter of fact, they do.
Oh.
Most of the time.
I think this fitting in as orc children is actually something we could probably do.
Well, that's the thing. You see, the orcs are they're an interesting bunch. The females are huge creatures, far taller and wider than the males. And they go about and, well, let's just put it this way. Their muscles are compensating for their lack of brains. And being a matriarchal society, they were a bunch of savage creatures that would go about trying to rape and pillage each other. So whilst, yes, they were a largely farming and peaceful people, there were war bands as well.
How are they for gold?
How are they for gold, did you say?
Yeah. You know. Yellow shiny stuff.
Not much of it as far as I know. But, well, my point is that when the humans encountered the orcs, they encountered one particular tribe that owned the land that just so happened to be where Ulrichberg is today. And, well, basically, it took about 20 years, but eventually a small merchant navy fleet was able to make their way over there, and the ships were landed and broken apart for building materials. And the actual land itself was farmed for its great richness of soil, and the material was brought back, and there was a great boon of fresh produce that was able to be sold back onto the various peoples of the human empire. We dwarves weren't particularly fond of what came out of that foreign soil, but apparently it appeals to the human taste quite nicely.
What do they grow
Anyway.
over there? Canola?
Mostly carrots, potatoes, cold weather vegetables, things like that. Stuff that would traditionally be grown about the stuff that would be traditionally grown nearby the mountains, but stuff that was able to quite effectively thrive over in the fertile soils of the land of Orca.
Piper, they don't call it canola over there. They call it by the English name. They call it rape. Orcs like rape. It was well known.
You see, he's making a joke, but he's also factually correct. And it's actually far worse than what you might expect. You see, I mentioned that the females were all bronze and no brain. Well, when eventually the orcs realized that there was a lot of money to be made from labor, especially labor where you don't pay the laborers, also known as slavery, they promptly turned around and had the women go around and make busy with the humans that had made themselves home on these foreign lands.
So it's the women that do the raping?
Aye. And whereas under normal circumstances it was the males of the species that would fall victim to that.
Oh, yeah,
Apparently,
it's the only way rape is possible. Woman with skirt up runs faster than man with trousers down.
That's incredibly dark.
So, but the question is, how do these hulking, hideous brutes, allure the humans? I mean, surely they're just not going to be game.
There's a surprising lack of consent when it comes to rape, my dear.
Piper,
well, but it's not. I'm not talking about consent. I'm talking about excitement.
Darling, they're scared stiff. Surely you recognise that. Sorry.
Sorry, that was good.
Don't start me on the rape jokes. I'm terrible. I know too many.
Look, all you need to know is that the land of Orugberg, it's there's only one way to say it. It's a hedonistic den of homosexuality.
Ew.
The women, the females, I should say, they're kept to the outer fringes where they live their more traditional lifestyle. But the actual city itself, the females are largely kept either under lock and key or just entirely banished from that land. And as such, there's practically nothing to speak of when it comes to actual female orcs.
So you said it was a matriarchal society.
Aye, traditionally it is. But in the city, they live non-traditionally. And as a result, the males, who have a naturally higher intelligence than the females, ended up coming to rule the roost. And then they kicked all the females out and turned it into a bit of a crime-ridden hellhole where they get their kicks by purchasing females of other species. Typically humans, occasionally elves, thankfully almost never dwarves. But that's only on the sex slavery side of things.
So why did they kidnap this guy of ours then? Was he particularly effeminate or?
I don't know. But given the fact that given the fact that these two fellas live together, I'm actually
We think they were
suspecting
gay.
that. Well, yeah, basically. My current thought is that it's entirely possible that Martin Foggs and Oren were in fact a pair of male orcs who were simply gathering up people in this city and then shipping them off over to Orenburg to be sold on. That's my theory, at the very least.
Seems reasonable.
All that said, if you lot have intention of going over there and posing yourself as children, I would advise that you stay out of sight.
We'll pose Essig as a cripple.
A cripple?
Yeah, for the lack of muscle mass.
What, so you'd still be intending to have him pose as an orcish female, just one that was particularly lanky?
I don't know about that, because you said the females are more buff than the guys.
Yeah, so... Yeah.
Aye, that's true. If the stories that I've read are to be believed, they're more akin to the Goliaths. Wait, do you know the Goliaths? I imagine you do, given your halflings.
They're the ones that are really tall, aren't they?
Aye. They're akin to the old giants of legend.
Yeah, because we're normal size, you're a little bit taller, Essig over there's really big, and the Goliaths are way up there, bang your head on the ceiling types.
Yeah.
Aye. Well, as I say, the female orcs, they're of a similar size to those Goliaths. The males, on the other hand, well, you've seen one there. That's a pretty standard example of one.
I mean, they seem to be able to disguise themselves as humans fairly enough. I mean, how did they do that, by the way?
Well, if I had to guess, he walks over to the corpse and takes a look at it for a moment, and then
I'll take a look at it as well, and in fact, I'll take a look at him through the corpse, through the head, through the hole, and I'll say, "Go on."
So you lift up the head, do you?
Yeah, look at him through the hole and say, "Go on."
Describe to me exactly how you lift up the head.
Just pick. I'm going to grab the hair from the front, somewhere that's not too juicy.
As you do this, as you grab the hair and pull, it comes off, revealing a significant bald patch on top and revealing itself to be a toupee.
Oh, we've got to keep that. Is it good? It's a convincing toupee, though, isn't it? Yeah.
Pretty convincing toupee.
Okay.
Here you go, Bobby. You know what my race is like. This will be useful to you in about 40 years.
Bobby, do you put it on?
You know what? Yeah, why not?
You all watch as Bobby's skin turns green.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. This is way faster than makeup. Hold on a second.
Camouflage.
Does this mean he's not green? No.
Bobby's hair turns green, and his hair goes from the kind of brownish auburn color to just jet black. Which, now that you think about it, is actually the same general skin tone and hair color that this orc once had. Well, now has, I should say.
Here, Bobby, throw it back. I'll identify it.
All right, I'll check it back to you.
Right, I'm going to cast Identify on the... I'll burn a spell slot for it as well to do it instantly. Let's identify the hat. The toupee.
The toupee is revealed to be what effectively amounts to an item that reverses the orcish identity of an individual. If they are an orc, they end up looking human. If they are not an orc, they look orcish.
Oh, you know what? We've got to. Did it affect its height at all?
It did not.
All right, we've got to try this on Smelly Beard. Stand there a moment. No, I'll pop it. I'll pop it briefly on the dwarf.
He fights back at this. He says, "No, it's been on a corpse. Might have fleas or something. I don't know."
Oh, come on! You want to see it though?
I couldn't see it if it was on me. Put it on him. And he points at Cardgar.
I've got a mirror.
Oh God, just says prestidigitation at Essig.
Prestidigitation Essig? What?
I don't get it.
I think cast a spell on the thing to make it clean.
Oh, right. You can do that, can you, Elfman?
Just
Sorry,
want
what
to
do
see
you want
what
me
it
to
looks
do?
like on a.
Clean the wig.
I just want to see what it looks like on a dwarf body.
Fair enough.
But yeah, this is the hat. This is a wig of orc.
Effectively, yes. It's a it's a wig that if an orc wears it, it makes them look like a human. If a non-orc wears it, it turns their hair black and their skin green.
The great thing is, as well, right? If we actually disguise ourselves, we can use this in order to sell orcs into slavery among their own people by disguising them as humans against their will.
In either
Yeah.
case,
Okay, you learn how to
the
make
dwarf, the dwarven counselor, who is now looking at you with a look of concern, a look of concern that has been growing over the course of this conversation, by the way. He simply says, "All right, well, that's all very well and good, but look, you can keep that, okay? I don't think he's going to be using it for much longer, and quite frankly, I can't see any use of it myself."
Jeff and the other guys
That
got
said,
one too.
Most likely.
We got to pick up a few of these.
At this point, you hear a knock at a non-existent door. You presume whoever this is knocking on the door frame as you hear a somewhat softly pitched man calling, "Hello?"
Esseg, get the door.
He starts to open the door because he still kept leaving it the way it was.
So you've been repeating the minor illusion to generate a front door, have you?
Yeah.
Well, as you regenerate the minor illusion to have the door appear open, you see before you a relatively short-looking creature. Almost looks like another halfling, except as you yourself are a half-elf, you recognize this to simply be a very, very young half-elf, almost childlike in stature. As this half-elf looks at you and says, "I was called to this address?"
Oh, are you the guy that can make the dead people talk?
"Yes, I am."
Yeah, coming in.
"Thank you." And he steps through the now open doorway and then looks to you, Essig, and says, "I could tell that was an illusion, by the way."
Yeah, it did.
Right.
It
So where is
opened at
this?
intervals.
Where is
and
this?
did these things.
Where is this body that needs to speak?
I'll point at the bag.
You guide him down the stairs, do you?
Yeah.
Right, he steps into the area and says, "Oh, somebody's done a number on this one. Which of you's responsible for this?"
I think it was a joint effort mostly, but I kind of did the finishing touches, shall we say.
Right, so you're the one who gave him a new hole. Well done. Good shot.
Yeah.
Right. He walks over. By the way, to Essig especially, this is obvious, but to the rest of you, you suspect that you're dealing with what effectively amounts to an elven child here. And
Okay.
he's
By
odd.
child, you mean
He
under
has
30
the...
or something?
Sorry, what?
By child, you mean what? 30, 40 years old?
Yeah, somewhere around that age range. Looks to be half elven.
Oh, okay.
Child in height and stature. Not so much child in attitude, especially given the fact that he looked at a hole that had been bored through the side of an orc's head and apparently was impressed rather than disgust.
That's
And
practically prepubescent for an elf, right?
I mean, yeah.
basically, yeah. 40 years on an elf would be like just about figuring out how to communicate properly. This particular example of an entity appears to be half elven and is very aware of his surroundings and very unimpressed by the example of supreme magical butchery that has been inflicted upon this body. He looks to the various people in the room and he says, "All right, which of you are squeamish? If any of you are, I recommend you leave. Having a body suddenly start speaking can sometimes put people off their dinner." No one?
Looks around. No. You screenshot. No. How many questions are we going to ask him?
3.
Right. No one jumped
And
in with
the
the dumb questions.
The questions are only able to be asked by myself as I will be casting the magic. If any of you have a question to propose, I ask that you speak one by one. Do not speak over each other. And for heaven's sake, please say please. And you see as he opens up a book and begins casting
But
a
before we
spell
start,
that...
do we want to have a chance to talk about what we want to ask, or
He closes the book again and looks to you, Cardgar, and says, "That's a fine idea. I smell tea."
there's tea downstairs?
We are downstairs, dwarf. Unless there's another
tea on this floor.
Excellent. I assume that's it there. He points to the obligatory teapot and makes his way over and pours himself a cup. He approaches one of the chairs and places the cup next to the table in front of him, sits down, and literally puts his feet up and begins just simply observing your party. After this, he takes a sip and says, "Oh, my name is Ilianos, in case any of you care to ask."
Oh, pleasure to meet you. I am Cardgar. This excitable fellow is Bobby. Careful not to excite him too much. He's known to overrate things. This is Piper. She likes pipes. And this is Essig. He likes geometric shapes.
Ding!
I could see that. Thank you for the introductions there, dwarf. Cardgar, was it?
Cardgar, yes.
Very good. Right. Make your deliberations. If you come up with any questions or suggestions that I feel as though are better than what I can come up with myself, I shall let you know. And he begins sipping his tea.
We want to know who they were trading them through, because they're going to need someone at the docks, right?
So we
Someone
want
to ship
to
them
know.
through.
We want to ask him all his contacts in the city, maybe.
Yeah, name your city contacts in relation to this black market trading ring.
And their address.
That's a good one.
What else do we want to ask him?
Why are you so green, you hideous filth?
What? Say that again.
I mean, it's worth knowing, right?
I didn't hear you.
Oh, just ask him how he lives with being so green. I mean, it's got to be awful.
Well, I have heard it's not easy being green.
If you're going to make puns and be racist, I recommend you practice first.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? We've got 2 more questions. What else would we want to ask him?
Where, basically we want to know the connection of where and when he's shipping the people, and who his paymasters are.
That's a bad question.
That's a bad question.
What was the first question again?
First question is the trade route, if you will, and where he hands off the people, delivers the people to.
Indeed. And that information will lead on to the answering the second question, don't you think?
Quite possibly. Okay.
I think we should ask him all his contacts in the city and their addresses.
At this point, the dwarven councilman who's sat there, he looks at you specifically, Cardgar, and he just darts an eye over to the elven boy sitting on the other side of the table and mouths, "Sorry."
Do I have any idea why he did that?
You get the impression that he's not a particularly big fan of this elven boy's propensity to be very what's the word?
Blunt?
Indignant.
Oh, I say to the councilman, no worries. I mean, he is what he is.
The councilman just simply shrugs at that and then goes back to being quiet again.
Well, we've come up with 2 questions. Coach, do you have any ideas?
No.
All right, Kiki, you got anything?
I've done one.
You want to ask him why he's green?
No, I did a proper one.
Oh. I guess we could ask his contacts in Auckland, maybe. He might not have any.
Just to be clear, if
we should know what his name is, so we know which of the
is
two
not
he is.
important. Okay. Let me explain something to you all. First of all, this individual is only capable of providing information that he is both likely to know and likely to impart to a stranger. Unfortunately, there are limitations to the speak with dead magic the given individual whose soul is reanimated and facsimiled into the fresh or perhaps not so fresh corpse, they still have the ability to retain a semblance of recognition of potential friends and foes. To that end, I would request that anybody who happens to get within sight range of the fellow wear that little wig there.
I mean, we could just burn his eyes out first, and then he can't see.
If only that worked. Fortunately, even if you were to use this spell on a skeleton, it still imbues them with some unnatural ability to perceive. Anyway, the first question is excellent, asking who would be their first contact. That is a very useful piece of information. My suggestion would be that the next question would be, when were you next expecting to meet said contact?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
And where?
That is a potential idea, though I can expect the where would be the docks.
Well,
I
yes,
will let
but there's
you
got to be
try
a
and
ship.
figure out another good question.
What ship do you use for this trading?
That will be easy to find out by simply looking up the name of the owners of the band whose name is revealed to us, and cross-referencing ownerships and so much so forth.
What about where he keeps all the cargo, the slaves to be traded?
That's a good one.
Is potentially a good question. Let's keep working. We only get to do this once, and then the facsimile of the soul is burnt out. Getting this right the first time is very important.
Would it help if we look like a friend of his? You said he only trusts say things to people he recognizes.
As a matter of fact, it would help.
I look at Bobby and say, "You know a thing or two about disguises.
I do.
You reckon you could get us all disguised to look like his friends?"
Well, we're
What if
going to
we-
need some green paint.
What if we just all did
I-
illusions of orcs over ourselves?
That's a better
I
idea.
mean, yeah, we could do that, I guess.
Okay, so just to recap, people, what questions have we come up with so far?
Who's his contact? Where he does
Correct.
the trade?
Correct.
And
When he's next
where
meeting
does
his
he keep
contact.
the goods?
Correct. Are we thinking of any better questions? Or shall I go ahead with the casting of the spell?
Go ahead.
Quick, do the illusion first, though.
Sure. Yep, we'll all knock out a round of illusions to make everyone green.
You know, I think that might be enough. Orcs aren't known for their intelligence after all, he says, putting down the cup of tea and making his way over to the corpse.
And this guy's got less brains than he started with.
Indeed.
Doff's imaginary cap.
Thankfully, the amount of present grey matter does not relate to the amount of knowledge stored within the soul. What?
How much of a body do you need? Do you need like a head or like just a jawbone? Would a finger do? A knuckle?
The specifications of the spell typically state corpse. However, I have found during my experimentations with such magics that typically, at the very least, a lower jaw is needed. As well as an upper skull, I suppose I should also add. All right, then. He opens his spell book and he begins to cast. You see as he weaves a variety of undead and ghostly magics and then promptly grasps this ball of fluctuating green and purplish energy and simply pushes it into the chest of the corpse, which then, with a gurgling noise, you hear as the chest inflates with air as if it is taking a great deep breath, and suddenly the head turns in the direction of your party, not to anyone in specific, but seemingly giving attention to the group as a whole. Its empty eyes stare forth, awaiting the first question. As Ilianos then promptly says, "Who is the name of the contact with which you were going to be making your next sale?" At which point the corpse looks over at you and says, "Gramag." Okay. Gramag. Orcish names are so very creative. Somebody note that down, please. Right then. I have the next question to ask here. When were you planning to meet this Gramag next? The corpse once again speaks, saying, "In 3 days." And Ilianos then looks over you all and says, "All right then. The final question. What was it?" One of you, speak.
I've forgotten.
I never knew.
Who's your
Wasn't
contact?
it where he keeps all,
Actually, I'll be back.
All the slaves?
Yeah, what is the route?
No, it was where is it? Where does he keep his stock?
Yeah.
Are we sure that's what we want to ask?
His stock of goods, which would be slaves, right?
Yeah.
And just to
where
be clear, are we asking where this fellow keeps his stock or where Gramag keeps his stock? Just to be clear.
I think we're asking
where
Gramag,
the stock
where the stock
where the stock is stored prior to being shipped to the Aucklands.
Okay. Just making sure. He looks at the corpse and says, "Where does Gramag keep his stock prior to shipping?" And the corpse simply says, "Warehouse 6B." At this point, Ilianos then looks at the party and says, "Just to be clear, I have lied to you. There are 5 questions. I'm now going to ask 2 for myself. Are there any hidden valuables with which you would rather people here not be aware of?" And the corpse then proceeds to answer this by saying, "There's a pouch of money in a false vent. There is a book of sales in a locked cabinet. And there is a pot under the sink containing a variety of rare herbs.
Oh, we didn't get those.
It seems like the money had already been pilfered.
Yeah.
Very well. We do have a final question. I'm feeling generous.
Is there a
Do any of you have
password?
anything that you'd like to ask?
Is there a password for the meeting?
That's a potentially good question. Any better answers?
Yes, what is the password for the meeting? Let's
He
not have him
smiles
just
in
say
your
yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Fair.
He smiles in your direction, Piper, and then says, "Good job." And he then turns to the corpse and says, "What is the password or phrase that we would need to use to speak to your contact?" And the corpse says, "There isn't one." And with that, you see the same greenish purple, almost ghostly embers of magical power that were previously pushed into this corpse's chest begin to flow out of the various holes in the orc's face. With that, Ilianos looks at the party and says, "All right then, just so that you know, that cannot be done for another 10 days. I hope you've gathered all the information that you are willing or able to make good use of, for otherwise you're going to have a bit of a wait on you. Right, Grum, is that me done, or is there anything else you'd like me to stick around for?" Grum just looks at the elven boy and says, unless there's anything that the other people here can ask any questions of you, then I don't think I need you. Thank you for your help as always, Ilianos."
Yeah, how old are
The
you,
elf.
Liliana? Like, you're young for an elf, right?
Well, technically, I am a half elf, and yes, I am extremely young, but also not quite so, and that is for reasons that are far, far above your pay grade. Do you have any questions regarding potentially useful information?
If we need your help again, do you have a way we can contact you?
I'm sure one of you will be able to pick up the spell Sending at some point soon, assuming you haven't already.
I look at Bobby.
Why are you looking at me? What did they do?
He mentioned the spell Sending. Don't you have that?
I do have the sending spell, but can't use it again until I've had a long rest.
I don't think we'll need to use it to talk to him before a rest.
You haven't built up your magical reserves yet. Don't worry, I understand. Everybody takes time to develop.
I've used it twice today, so you know.
"Oh, you're so young,"
Yeah.
he says, with a very obvious and sarcastic pearl clutching moment. "Right then, my time is valuable. Well, not to you, but to him." He points at the dwarf and says, "All right then, I'm off. Grum, if you need me, you know where to find me. Otherwise, best of luck to you all. The orcs are terrible people. They deserve death. Goodbye." He simply walks away. And then he walks back down again and says, "Except for one orc. If you ever see one wearing a suit of armor that is perpetually angry, don't piss him off."
Hold on, haven't we experienced one that's perpetually angry? Armor? No. Maybe.
If you do
Is he
happen
a
to
friend
do
of
one like
yours,
that,
or is he okay to like fall off a cliff?
with that, he gives an expression that's give me insight checks.
Side checks.
Hey, my one of my best skills.
Hmm.
This computer's so jank.
Well, I will give the answer to Cardgar because he certainly passed the DC with that 21. Cardgar, from the expression that you see plastered across this elf's face, which is the first look of mental weakness that you've seen come across this particular Ilianos, you can only come to the conclusion that upon being asked if they do happen to come across this orc, is he a friend or should he be thrown off a cliff? You get the impression that the answer is both.
Cargo just nods and says, one of those sorts of people. I think I might know a couple of people like that.
Yes, the terrible friend or even more terrible ally kind of scenario. Terrible friend, terrible enemy. You know, one of those people. Look, he goes by Thorug. If you spot him, don't be spotted. Unless you're a very good person, there's a very good chance that he might try to drive a crossbow bolt through your eyeball. True story, he's done it once before. Goodbye. And then he leaves.
Oh, I guess he got better.
Mm.
I didn't see anything wrong with his eyeballs.
He did say try. He didn't say succeed.
That's true.
At this,
So-
you see the dwarf then pipes up and says, well, that's cost me a bit of gold, but Ilianos is good for keeping quiet about such things. Anyway. Right. I do apologize
Oh.
for the young elf.
No, none needed. Seems we've got 3 days to till a meeting.
Do we want to check out this warehouse ahead of time? Get the lay of the land?
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Well,
Unless you
I
can get
could
there
check it out
invisibly.
without us going there.
Hmm.
We can get there invisibly.
Well, I've got the spell clairvoyance. As long as I know where it is on a map, my understanding is I should be able to take a peek.
All of the various... I've forgotten his accent. All of the various warehouses down by the docks do actually have their own designation. It's all publicly available information too. If you've got the right number, you can ask for one of the foremen to point you in that direction.
Is there not just like a map?
There probably is, but not one that I can hand you.
Binder, can I song a creation up a map of the city?
Yes, you can.
All right, I'm going to do that. I'm going to ask if he can point out where the warehouse, what was it, 6A or wherever it was?
Mm-hmm. It's 6B.
6B.
And so you conjure up the map and show it to Grum, do you?
Yeah.
He looks at the map and says, "Well, that's very impressive, but I'm deeply sorry, but I'm not familiar enough with the docks to be able to point out precisely which is which.
Okay,
If I had to guess, I'd say it's roughly around here," he says, pointing to what is vaguely the western side of the dock.
I will look at where he's pointed and see if I can find any of the buildings with the label 6B on them on the map.
You can't. This map appears to be a what is largely a recreation of one of those publicly available maps that you would see in, like, touristy areas. And over at that section, it just says dock warehouses as a general catch-all term for all of the buildings in that area.
Oh well.
This map, by the way, of Varpak is it's fairly decent in quality. It shows all of the nearby restaurants, where the areas that are designated as public access are, the areas that are definitely not public access. All of the information that a given tourist, a foreigner of distant lands may want to be able to see in order to be able to navigate the city with ease.
Damn it, Ginger.
We,
You literally read my mind, because when I said a created map, I was thinking of a tourist map.
If we
Excellent.
made one of these with like a marker on it, could we hold it like up to the top right of our vision and use it as a mini map?
I hand it to Pipe and say, "Go ahead, give it a go."
If
Yeah, I will
you
do.
if you wanted to maintain a casting of Mage Hand, you could hold this map just in the periphery of your vision at all times.
And I suppose minor illusion to have a marker that changes as we walk.
I mean, you can. It might be wrong given the fact that you'd be intentionally placing the marker, but you could do that. Also, the minor illusion, you'd have to be constantly refreshing it, because as you walked, it would drift behind you. Minor illusion is static, remember?
Oh yes. Well, is it? Wait, hang on. Is it static? Like if you cast a minor illusion on a table and you move the table, does it move with the table?
Yeah, we tried this on
It
the
will.
raft and we had to keep recasting it so that it was on the raft and not drifting behind us.
Correct.
So if you cast it like on I don't know, an airship, it gets left behind.
Yes.
What if you cast it on the moon?
If you cast it on the moon, maybe. You don't know.
I mean, you'd have to be on the moon to do that. It has a range of like 30
Oh, yeah, it
feet.
does have a range. That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something we can do in the future. Visit the moon just to test this.
Or perhaps talk to somebody who may have already tried this prior.
That's
The
true.
menagerie is all about discovering things about foreign places. Anyway, now that whole series of events has concluded, I am going to go grab a snack, take a piss, etc., etc. Back in 10 minutes, everybody.
Sounds like fun.
Cool.
Just enough time to make a cup of coffee.
If it's possible for all of you, by the way, I might request that we play till about 1 o'clock tonight-ish.
Was that in 2 hours? A bit over 2 hours?
Yeah.
A bit over 2 hours, yes.
I think I can do that. Yeah.
All right.
Something that might come up later.
I'll be back in 10 minutes.
All right. Well, what do we want to do next when he gets back? Oh, don't all answer at once.
Yep. 10 minutes. Sorry. I'm just following nonsense.
We could check out the dockmaster. He's probably got a map that plots where all the warehouses are. We could pose as someone looking to purchase a warehouse, a group of people looking to purchase a warehouse, and we could want a map in order to identify a good spot for our, I don't know, shellfish operation.
I don't know if we can outright purchase one. We could probably like lease space within a warehouse.
Well, no, but we're just going there making an inquiry so that we can get access to a map.
Well, we just need to know where this 6B place is, and the question is, do we want to like check it out ahead of time, or?
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. If we go there and go, hey, where is this exact warehouse, and the harbour master's in on it, that tells them that we are we tells them someone's onto them. If we're there just looking to hire a warehouse space and we're checking out where's currently available and get presented with a map that's labelled, we can determine that information ourselves without looking too suspicious.
We want somewhere to practice. Our band needs to practice a lot, and we need somewhere where they don't mind us making a lot of noise.
Need good acoustics as well.
Yeah.
I mean, many bands have used empty warehouses.
Yep.
Well, that's a good idea, I think.
Scoping out a place for our next gig, whatever. All manner of reasons, but go with our strengths. Not be setting up seafood restaurants or anything.
I wasn't saying
You
set up
say
a
that,
seafood.
but we've set up an entire charity.
Yeah, I wasn't saying set up a seafood restaurant. I was saying, we could pose as something if we had to.
Oh yeah.
We could pose as a music group looking for a place to practice.
Yeah, we could pretend we're a band. We could set up like a bardic group and maybe do some concerts really to sell the ruse.
Hey, Trig.
Right.
You Bobby talked to a lot of people at that big event, right? When he was doing his scam.
He did.
Do you remember if any of them mentioned they were in like trading or anything like that? That they might actually be someone who know stuff in the warehouse district.
I don't remember anyone being particularly in warehousing and shipping. I could be wrong.
Yeah, Ginge, we've decided we're going to pretend to be a group of travelling bards.
Really? Oh, by the way, Trig, you are very wrong.
Am I?
I'll explain in just a moment.
Oh, there was... Yeah, maybe. I don't know, it's a while back now.
Yeah, it might be a long shot, but it was just an idea that you've made contacts with these people. At the moment, I don't think any of them dislike you. You could bring back Mr. Trumpman and Stoutman even.
If you remember correctly, the people throwing the party were the owners of the Cranley Shipping Company.
Ah, that's a good point. The Cranleys themselves.
Maybe we talk to them about securing a place for a grunge concert in the warehouse district.
We're not looking to secure a place. We're looking to work out what places are available and acquire a map of all of the places. We just want a labelled map, essentially.
Yeah, we could do both. Why not actually put on a show and make a bit of dosh on the side?
I mean, I'm with you, but...
If they own the warehouses, then they're going to know what's what there,
My concern is that if we say that we're just putting on a gig rather than that we're looking to acquire one for ourselves, then in their good faith, they will go, oh, we would love to host you for another concert. We happen to have a warehouse in the area that you're welcome to use.
Yeah, but
then we don't get...
We want to see them to make sure the acoustics are right. There's no point putting it on somewhere where it will sound bad, and we're the experts on that, not them. So we get Coat and Trig to do their little shticks with their abilities. I'm sure we'll be able to schmooze them.
It just says to me, getting too much contact back to who we really are. sort of.
Well, we were there to play music. They know us from that point of view.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, if there's just a bunch of us turn up down the docks and go, "Hi, looking to rent out a warehouse so we can practice out, some music somewhere where we're not going to disturb anyone." And the guy on the drums turns to piss off the neighbours, etc. That's as easy and as convincing, and not getting huge amounts of other people involved in it that don't need to be.
Well, we can give it a try. If it doesn't work, then we can make this the backup, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe even a this one here really likes the bagpipes, even though it pisses everyone off.
Well, sounds like a plan to me. Kiki, I've decided to. I'm starting to look into the whole fish breeding in Factorio now.
You're doing the fish breeding?
Yeah, well, apparently you need fish to make spidertrons.
Yes, you need a fish for a spidertron.
Yeah, you've always needed that.
Yeah. The issue is with the fish breeding is you can only do it on novice, and you need nutrients. So you'd need to set up a novice side nutrient farm, or
Yeah.
ship in bioflux for it.
Well, I was thinking because I've been looking at different recipes, and it's like it looks like you can get a net positive from harvesting eggs.
You can just pull a fish out of the water though.
Yeah, but what if you want like a 5-tier spider?
Pull lots of fish out of the water. Get all the right components.
And when it goes, oh no, you don't have enough fish to make spidertrons, you just draw a deconstruction planner over a lake, and it goes, yep, you got loads.
Yeah. You can't quality improve. I don't think you can quality improve the fish.
There's an
You
achievement to
can.
get a epic fish.
Yeah, you can with the fish breeding, but I mean, it's improving the quality on a thing that's got spoilage.
Yeah. I mean, we were literally getting not quite top of the range spiders, but there were certainly rare and legendary spiders just by making lots and having RNG do its thing with quality mods.
It's not like you can't just feed them back through a recycler and back into themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an idea. I hadn't thought. Can you run recyclers on other planets?
Yeah, I've got, in fact, if you want, I can send you the string, a recycler blueprint that I've made for reduce.
I appreciate the offer, but I want to figure out things like that myself the first time.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I put a lot of work into grammatizing it so that you can place it, tell it what you want to make, and it will manufacture that item. It will recycle anything less than the quality you specify, and it will then use the circuit logic to automatically change the quality of the recipe to match the quality of ingredients you have available to craft with. So it'll start. So if the moment you get enough items to make a rare, for example, it will it will do the guaranteed rare with a potential for upcrafting, and then switch back to a normal quality recipe when it doesn't have any ingredients left anymore for anything higher.
That's a whole lot of stuff I need to play with myself, because interrupts and parameters I still haven't figured out yet.
Okay.
I know what they're useful for. I just haven't worked out how to use them.
It took me like 8-9 hours of just sitting there playing with was it in a creative world, messing around with the what's it called, the combinators.
Yeah.
And good gods, it was a nightmare.
You got it working, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, really good shit.
I mean, the problem I have with things like interrupts and parameters is it just, maybe I've missed it, but I haven't seen any documentation like in the Factoriopedia for it.
There isn't. It's all very, very backwards logic in that you enable when rather than there's an enable when, but there's no disable when. So you've got to work off of essentially a system that automatically assumes false unless you state true, which it's a bit wonky.
That's not inherently a bad thing. That's generally how you want to write any code. So hopefully it won't confuse me too bad. Did you end up using biolabs in your game?
Yeah. Biolabs are better. Genuinely, they've got an inherent 50% productivity boost, which if you don't go on.
I just said yeah.
Oh, if you don't use them for your Gleba stuff, or I found anyway, if I didn't use them for Gleba stuff, because I tried doing it with assemblers, and Trig was like, no, we're using these new ones, and Trig's build was generating a profit on materials, and mine was on a slow decline actually, because it needs that 50% in order to be over the bracket.
No, you're talking about the BioVat thingies. No, I mean the labs
biolabs
that look like they're made of alien nests.
Yes, we did. Those were really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I use those as BioVat thingies, whatever they're called, like all over on Gleba, and I'm starting to put a few in Navis now.
Yeah, they also don't. Yeah, they also don't use power, which is nice.
Do they not? Are you sure they don't use power? Because
they don't use power; they use nutrients instead.
Yeah, no, they use nutrients, and they don't seem to have a power value. But if I have a brownout or a blackout, they stop working. I found.
Really? Because mine don't. Mine carry on working during.
Maybe it's the inserters that make it.
It will be, yeah.
Yeah, your inserters stop working. That stops feeding them. They then fill up with spoilage, and you end up with a big old fucking mess.
That's happened a few times whilst I've been scaling it up.
Yeah, I've found when you're building those systems, you've got to have a spoilage line that runs all the way through, essentially, with a out filter for all of your machines, just so that they can manually clear.
Yeah, I've basically made a belt that pretty much visits all parts of the Gleba base that is full of nutrients, using the stack inserters, and any spoilage basically gets output to that belt and then pulled off so it can be turned into more nutrients.
Yeah.
I had to rebuild it a couple of times though, because you have to make sure I found that the order in which the machines get hit is right. Otherwise, all the nutrients get eaten up before the nutrient machines can use them.
You want my build? I had
I've got something that's working now. It's producing like thousands of times.
Wonderfully spaghetti version that worked really well.
Oh yeah, like I made some nice modules, but I didn't get to a finished product the same as Triggs. Place this spaghetti blueprint down, and it makes all of the components and sciences.
Are we ready to continue?
We are.
Yeah, as long as you are.
Excellent.
I'm just looking.
I'm ready to get going whenever you are.
Cool. Well, let's carry on.
Alrighty. So, You have 3 days. What is the first thing that you do?
Pub?
Pub? Blackjack and hookers?
I mean, it can be if you want to.
Also, you know what? I wouldn't mind taking that wig over to the university and seeing if they can replicate a couple of them.
Right, so
That's a good idea.
not a bad idea at all.
Like one each could come in very handy. Or, you know,
Yeah, and does it have to be a wig? Like could it be like a ring that we can activate
I'd like.
to be more discreet then?
We could have a wig. We could have a pair of glasses with a iffy nose and moustache on it.
Oh, I like that.
You know, a pair of tusks, pair of fake tusks that you stick on, and that's it. You go green and orky.
So you're wanting to commission some custom orc, some custom magical tusks of orking.
Yeah. And yeah, pretty much that.
All right.
Like,
well,
you know those crappy plastic vampire fangs you used to get in Christmas crackers and stuff.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Alrighty. So you head back over to the menagerie, and you speak to Lysander about this little idea of yours, and he is somewhat confused, but states that he's not interested in asking questions, but is perfectly happy to point you in a useful direction, and directs you over to a not a colleague of his, but somebody that he is aware of and has worked with in the past. A magical items creator who operates outside of the city limits. He's a man who specializes in creating unorthodox equipment.
Okay.
Following Lysander's directions, you eventually make your way over to a little cottage that's about half a mile outside of the southeastern gate, and as you make your way over, you see that this is a little thatched roof cottage. It's got a little chimney that's smoking away, and little bits of leather work on the outside. Clearly, he does his own tanning, and well, whoever this is apparently somewhat self-sufficient. I presume you go to knock on the door?
Absolutely. Park up the dogs first.
And the bear.
Sure. And yeah, knock on the door.
Alrighty. As you knock on the door, instead of going knock knock, it goes ding dong. He has apparently enchanted his door.
Ooh, like that. Right, okay. Can I knock in different ways to see if I can get a whole series of chimey tunes out of it?
Unfortunately, as you try to produce different types of knocking, it seems to just seems to repeat through ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. And after about maybe 15 or so seconds of this, the door opens very abruptly, and you see a tall, half-elven looking man looking down at most of you and says, "What do you want?"
First of all, I've got some ideas for your door. Bit of an improvement. We can make some. But Lysander, what's it? Lysander? Yeah, at the uni. Advise us to come over to see you.
As soon as you say Lysander, his face brightens up as he says, Oh, friends of Lysander, are you?
Yeah, sort of. Friends? Yeah, we'll go with that. He told us to come see you.
Right.
Got an idea for you of a kind of thing we'd like to get made up. Based around, well, this. And I produce the wig and slap it on my head.
Oh, you're looking a bit ill.
Bit green round the gills, yeah.
A toupee of nausea. Curious. Looking to induce some information extraction, are we? I think I can deal with this. Come in.
It's not actually nausea. It's more orking someone, shall we say?
Oh, that's significantly less exciting. Oh,
I mean, we can induce nausea in them in other ways. You know, mild potion of nausea or something. But no, honestly, this is, shall we say, a good idea for a fancy dress party, where we fancy dressing up as the most terrifying people on the continent, other than the elves, of course.
yes, I was about to say, I'm pretty sure that honor belongs to the drow.
Oh yeah, well them.
But yes, describe to me exactly what you're wanting to do, and I shall tell you how easily I may be able to achieve your goals.
Well, we were thinking of items that could replicate the effect that this wig has. Doesn't have to be a wig. We were thinking maybe some fake tusks of orking, or a bow tie of orking, whatever. An item that makes the wearer appear to be somewhat orky in nature.
May I borrow that for a moment?
Sure.
And he just reaches over and plucks it off the top of your head. And he holds it up to the light of the window and gives it a bit of an inspection. You see as he conjures up some magical glitter in his hand and seemingly poofs at it. And you recognize as he just cleansed it with some prestidigitation, and he then proceeds to take it over to what appears to be a bookshelf, which he pushes the side of, and it reveals itself to what at first appears to be a secret door as it rotates around on a hinge, only to then reveal that it is not a secret door, but in fact a secret workstation. And what you are looking at is a hemispherical table of sorts with it almost looks like a very large sundial. And, well, roll me Arcana. Anybody who's interested.
I'm going to suggest, I think I saw someone with one of those, but with a bar in it. Like bottles of booze and stuff.
I think that's exactly
There you
what
go.
it is.
Arcana.
Essig, you have no idea what this is. However, what you are able to see is that there appears to be some kind of... Well, I mentioned it looks vaguely like a sundial. That's because whereas a sundial would have various Roman numerals to denote what time of day it is, this appears to have various symbols, which you recognize as being an archaic form of representation of the various schools of magic. Like, for example, there's illusion magic. There's
the example I was thinking of.
Destruction, restoration.
Yeah, all those. And he takes this toupee and he plonks it in the middle. And once it's been placed into the middle of it, he looks back over his shoulder at you and he says, "If none of you have seen this before, you're in for quite the treat. What this does is you can use it to effectively break down the effects of a magical item. Not literally, but in an information-based way. It's an old piece of magical something that I found once when I was exploring around some ancient dwarven ruins and paid great expense to get it transported here. This is something that, if wider people knew about, I'd probably get it stolen from me, so. No sharing secrets, you lot. I'm only telling you this because my sender told you. Anyway. And, as he places this toupee in the middle, you see as he begins to channel some magical energy into the device, and you see all the various symbols begin to glow brightly, these columns of light being emitted from the various archaic pieces of symbology that represent the different schools of magic. And after a few moments, most of them die down, but the ones that remain are illusion and alteration. Give me just a moment.
Wait, alteration's a thing in D&D?
I think it goes by a different name.
Transmutation.
That's
that the one you're
one, transmutation. I've got Elder Scrolls on the mind.
Yeah, the ones Kiki's mentioned earlier were also Elder Scrolls.
That makes sense. But yes, as the magic dies down and these two columns of light are left in place, you see as he plunges his hand over one of these symbols and seemingly drags it around the table, using his hands to literally manipulate the light in such a way that seemingly spreads out the information of the illusion side of the magics and begins almost like giving a detailed breakdown as to how such a thing was created. And you get the impression that what this is, it is literally a device designed to tell you how to reverse engineer a given piece of magical equipment.
Ooh.
And to those of you with any degree of ability when it comes to magical knowledge and arcana specifically,
nope,
you recognize that something of this nature could be used to annoy quite a lot of people. Like, for example, the concept of magical patents exists in this setting.
I was figuring that's where you're going with
and,
that.
The ability to instantaneously reverse engineer, for example, a custom magical item that somebody who considers to be their life's work would be something that would make a lot of people very angry.
If patents do exist, wouldn't that make this not useful?
Patents... Hang on, I think I've used the wrong term. Basically, the idea of creating something, owning that process, and then keeping it a secret.
Oh, well, okay, yeah, simply having secrets. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, generally speaking, once a magic item has been created, the process for creating that magical item and achieving the exact effects of that magical item, for certain things, it's a well-established process. Like, for example, with commonly traded magical items, like for example, a bag of holding. That's a commonly traded magical item. An alchemy jug is another commonly traded magical item. These are things.
Where can we get an alchemy jug?
You could probably get You could probably get one from somewhere in the city. These are things that tend to be produced on a not mass scale, but often enough that with the right coin, you can pick one up in just about any major city. But occasionally you come across more bespoke things that, for example, may have been created by some long dead master artificer who created something over the course of several years and managed to create this perfect one-of-a-kind item. This little table here that's just been demonstrated in front of you, it's quite possible that even legendary tier artifacts could have their mysteries unraveled by it. And this guy in a cottage has it. But anyway, it takes about 5 minutes of him basically pouring through the information that he's able to extract from this toupee before he closes it all up and seals it inside the wall of his cottage. And he hands it back over to you, Bobby, and says, "Yes, I think I should be able to recreate this."
Fantastic. Thank you.
When would you be looking to have something like this done?
As soon as possible. We have the party
Right.
in a couple of days' time.
I see. He scratches his chin for a moment and then says, "Well, paying for custom wigs to be made up, transported over here, and then having the right materials, the labor. I'd have to pay somebody else to help out. Ooh. I'd say about... Your friends of Lysander, you say?"
Yeah.
I'll give you a discount. 210 gold apiece, I'd say.
210 apiece. Okay.
Normally I could get it done cheaper, but if you need, what is this, 3 of these made up in how much time?
Couple of days.
Yeah, I definitely need a second pair of hands working at this. I could pull an all-nighter, but not more than once.
Does he reckon we'd be able to help him?
He, if you ask him, he just looks at you and says, You're not artificers. I don't think you'd be able to do much."
Also, Coldgar asks if his, instead of being a wig, can it be, I've posted a picture in D&D room.
I presume you use minor illusion to display said image directly to him.
Yeah, and I try and explain it as well.
He looks at it, and he looks at you, and he says, "I mean, yes, it could, but what is this?"
Pair of glasses and a fake nose and orc tusk. No, there's some fluff here for the eyebrows.
Yes, and I also see a mustache as well.
Yes.
Okay. I've never seen one of these in my life. It is theoretically possible that something like this could be done, but I can't guarantee I could have it ready for you in 3 days. Something like that itself would have to have the mundane version of the object be generated and then have the enchantment applied to it. You understand?
Kargar looks a little bit disappointed. What about a ring then?
A ring would work. A band of any variety would work, in fact.
I'd be happier with a ring than a smelly wig.
Yeah, especially if it gets windy.
Right. So, 2 rings. I presume you're not interested in any valuable material for the bands.
Oh no, copper's fine.
Copper, something like that.
Essig, you okay with a wig, or do you want a
ring makes more sense. You can
A
wear
ring
more
is actually
rings.
easier than another wig.
Yeah, a wig sounds like really annoying and out of the way to do. Whereas you just slide a ring on.
Fair enough. I'll keep the wig. Any discount for making them into rings?
Yeah, I'd say that'd take about 15 gold off.
What, 195?
Tell you what,
No, for about 15 gold off the final total, I mean.
Tell you what, make it a straight up 600 gold, and I'll give you the cash now.
He looks at you with a raised eyebrow and holds out a hand and says, "Deal?"
I will reach into my bag of holding and produce 600 gold.
And proceed to cast a glittering shower across his floor as 600 gold pieces is not capable of being held in 2 hands.
Yeah. I just sort of shake out a handful, shuffle them around, stack it up, make it into, into tens, and shuffle those tens off into another 10 unit of 10 tens, and then, the same again, same again. Boom, 600, there you go. I'm practicing my coin stacking.
He nods in your direction and says, "Very good. I'll get started immediately.
Lovely.
You'll be back here in 3 days." And he thinks for a moment and says, "Yeah, I reckon I'll be able to have it done in the morning by then. Bring me some hot tea from the city when you come pick them up, if you don't mind.
Of course.
I think I'll need it by then."
Kiki, weren't you interested in some sort of like saddle or something the other week?
It was me.
Can't remember.
It was me who
Oh,
was
that's
talking about the saddle of the cavalier, and it would be about
That was it.
all of my gold. Although that's
Maybe not right now because he's got the rings to work on, but
Yeah.
afterwards maybe we can commission it from him in exchange for, I don't know, maybe he needs something done.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought.
Right. So if I get these rings for everyone, and plus we've got the bag of holding that we can share, and anybody that wants to put anything in it is welcome. That is a bag of holding for the party. I reckon by my calculations that puts me a pretty much square with what was owed to the party for the big con. Actually didn't work out to be that particularly big a take, but
Sounds good to me.
yep, okay, cool.
I didn't realize you owed us, so it works for me.
Right, yep.
Righto. Just so that you know, if you were to purchase rings in the city and then bring them over, that would take some money off of the final total. Basically, if you were to play the part of a courier, effectively.
So can we make that deal, or?
Can if you want. You can spend an afternoon picking up some copper bands and bringing them over. That'd take another 10 gold off the total.
Yeah, why
Oh,
not?
that's it.
All right then. So you You help out with the creation of some rings of orking.
I'll be really scraping for a 2% discount.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like, that's it.
Fair enough.
I'll let Trig have to pay all that.
I wasn't thinking from that side of things, but it's like then we'd be able to pick out a ring or a bangle, whatever it is you want.
I'm happy with the wig.
Well, you've already got yours.
Yep, I think it's nice and absurd.
All right. Well, shall we visit the foreman of the warehouse, see if we can get a practice warehouse?
I think that's a damn good idea. Get a lay of the land and all that.
As I say, if we can work out which warehouse it is, I can use that clairvoyance spell to look inside it.
Yeah, it's 4B in it.
6B.
6B.
4B.
Oh,
no, it's definitely 6B.
It's 6B.
Yeah, we wrote it down.
Yeah, 6B.
Uh-huh. It's literally in the chat. So, you head over to the docks, I presume.
Yeah, that would be the plan.
Yep.
Right then. It doesn't take you long to make your way over there. You're becoming somewhat familiar with the layout of Varpak City at this point. You just simply follow along. Indeed, not only do you have a map, but it's actually relatively easy to navigate around here. As you make your way down to the docks, you make your way over to a large it almost looks like a Greco-Roman temple of sorts, with these large columns holding up a triangular roof structure. The inside is relatively open air with these massive almost mechanized windows that look as though that through the use of turning a crank, the various windows that make the area very airy are able to be closed off. And you find yourselves in what can best be described as a market of sorts. But you have been informed by people that I would assume you would have asked to find your way here, that this is where you can find the foreman's office, basically the person who is in charge of managing the docks as a whole. And indeed, as you make your way through here, you are eventually able to find your way to what can best be described as a building inside of a larger building. And this is just a relatively standard style of dwarven style of architecture. It's a well-faceted stone, a front door which is currently propped open, which leads to a small waiting desk. And it doesn't take you long to get in touch with a representative with whom you're able to organize basically having a meeting with for the purposes of discussing the potential of hiring warehouse space. If you like, we can go through the process of discussing this in detail, or alternatively, we can just simply go through it as a matter of
spacebar.
This is said.
Spacebar.
Yeah, you can skip the dialogue if you want.
Spacebar.
So
start each sentence so I have to spacebar through it. It'll be more immersive. Spacebar.
After waiting for what you suspect is you can stop that now. After waiting for what you suspect is an amount of time intended to drive the less patient customers away, you are eventually introduced to one Artur. That's spelled Artur. A dwarven-looking fellow with a greyed, very long and well-maintained beard, not the curly mess that you would expect of a typical dwarven dock worker. And he basically inquires as to the precise nature of what you're trying to get done with hiring warehouse space. So somebody describe to me precisely what it is that you say to him.
Oh, we're looking for that new sound, aren't we, Bobby?
No, we're just
Where
looking
we
for a
find
place
it,
to
please.
practice. We're looking for a place to practice because Piper over here makes a hell of a din with her bagpipes, and quite frankly, some of the other stuff we do. Again, it's not conducive to where we're currently staying. People complain about the noise when we're practicing, so we're just looking for a bit of a warehouse, some bit of empty space, so we can knock up a bit of a ruckus and work on our tunes.
He
Tap the
seems
triangle.
to accept the explanation given, but requests a couple of things from you before he agrees to anything. First of all, he inquires to whether or not you'd be happy with renting out space that is intentionally out of the way.
That's exactly what we were after, in fact.
He nods to this and is quite pleased with this. And then he frowns slightly and says, "You have to understand, you can't just request warehouse space. You have to have some kind of credential. After all, you're not going to have an entire empty space dedicated to just yourself. You're going to be around the wares of other people who hire the space."
Would that credentials, would that come in the form of small gold coins?
No, that would come in the form of somebody who is a known merchant who could vouch for you.
No.
Basically, a written somebody that we already know we can trust, who has stated that you yourself can be trusted, so that if it turns out that you're pulling a great big scam or something to that effect and a whole bunch of merchandise goes missing, we know who to start pointing fingers at.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Piper, you're that brother and sister act that were a bit keen on you, the Cranleys. Do you fancy giving them a shout and seeing if they would vouch for us?
I was wondering if that merchant friend of yours would be able to do the guy with the blonde hair.
Which one?
Yes. Did you mention that you're familiar with the Cranleys?
Yeah, we put on a bit of a gig there the other day.
I see. Well, they are a registered merchant. So if you can manage to get a signed, well, basically just if you can get the owner of the company to basically say yes, these are trusted individuals, and just something to say that they can be trusted and by his word, then that will function quite nicely.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Whilst we're down there, do you mind if we have a quick look around? Have you got anywhere in mind that you would be able to set us up with? Seems like an awful lot of stuff to go through if you don't actually have anything that's right for us. Is all I'm thinking.
I do have some idea. Hang on a moment.
You don't have like a map of the area, so that we can just see what's good for us.
Bit of a road mapper.
As a matter of fact, he says as he's stepping over towards a small bookshelf and pulls out a tubular container and pulls out a scrolled map. He lays it out on the table in front of you all and orients it in such a way that it is facing towards you. And on this map, you see it's somewhat similar to the tourist map that Cardgar magicked into existence earlier. except this one is very much zoomed in on the docks area, and you can see all of the various warehouses individually labeled with their letter number configuration. And right there, just towards the western side of things, nestled in between a selection of 5 other warehouses making up a rectangular block of 6, there is 6B.
Can we, as we're looking at this, dedicate this area to memory so that we can reproduce it with a minor illusion if we have to?
Well, now I've seen it, I can probably just create a copy of it in the future.
Yeah, I can confirm that that's something that Khadgar would be able to do with his Song of Creation.
Cool.
Oh, perfect.
But yes, as he opens up this map here, he gestures to the region that is that actually contains 6B and says, "So this area here is what is used for the short-term storage of goods, typically things like perishables and things of that nature. Stuff that only gets stored for a relatively short period of time before moving on to the next vessel for the next leg of their given journey. And over here," and he gestures to an area that's actually quite far away from the water, "This is where I'm thinking that you'd be better off hiring work, the space for your concert practice. This is something that sees relatively little foot traffic and also sees relatively little, shall we say, background noise, so that you don't have to worry about being interrupted by the sound of, I don't know, 1,500 barrels of whiskey being loaded onto a cart or something like that."
Oh, believe me, it wouldn't be the 1,500 barrels of whiskey interrupting us. It would be more the other way around.
In either case, this is something that looks like it'd be far more appropriate for your for what you're looking to do. The only issue, of course, being that it is a bit of a walk there, so I hope that you don't have anything particularly heavy to carry in terms of your musical instruments.
Well, we'll have a chat with the Cranalites. I really kind of don't want to. They've done us a few favors already, and they're so good-hearted. I feel like they'd rather let us use one of their facilities for free than vouch for us. And I just feel so put out by it. I think I'm exploiting them, you know?
No, I understand, but it's to keep the insurance companies off our back. You must understand.
I understand.
If we don't make sure that there's nobody that can be held accountable for missing goods, then the insurance company says that we're not able to abide by their standards, and then if something goes missing, it's on the docks to be able to replace it rather than. It's a mess of bureaucracy.
Well, we'll see what we can do, and we'll get back to you if it's something worthwhile for us.
Cool.
All right, then.
Thank you very much for your time, though, sir.
No problem at all. And do let me know as soon as you can. Whilst we do have available warehouse space, can I guarantee that that'll be the case come a week from now?
Cool. Fair enough. Okay. Good to know.
So, you've managed to acquire an effective map, which, assuming Khadgar uses a particular ability to recreate said map, you were able to very easily navigate your way around these warehouses. Now, what is worth noting is that the route that one would take to go to these various locations, it isn't exactly commonly publicly traveled. If a group of bards were just walking through this particular area without being accompanied, it would raise suspicion. This much
Yeah.
you can
Indeed,
you can be quite confident of.
We probably should
had-
go walking over there then.
Yeah, we had a. Did someone have a familiar though, or an eyeball or something that could float
Right,
around and
fair
look
point.
at things?
Yeah, let me.
A point in range in a location familiar to you or in an obvious location that is unfamiliar to you.
So it's an obvious location. We know it. We've got a map to it. We know exactly what it looks like. It's a warehouse.
Yep, I
we
would
just want-
absolutely say that. I would absolutely say that that would be an effective way of being able to get a clairvoyance on the location.
So, are you happy for me to cast the spell and take a look inside from within a mile?
Yeah, just to
Absolutely.
know, we are going somewhere other than the dockmaster's house. Dockmaster's office.
Let's go to
for
the
this.
nearest pub. Yeah, we could order lunch while I take a look.
I will say that casting clairvoyance is a bit of a casting any 10-minute cast time and then 10-minute duration spell. It's not something that is typically done in a pub.
It is if you rent a room.
It is if you rent a room.
A room or
But-
what do they call those things where the corners of the room where it's a table and you can't really see into it?
A booth.
Booth,
corner
that's
table.
Oh, you can't do that. We'll have adventurers coming up thinking we're ominous quest givers.
Well, we put a curtain over it. You could close the curtain, then they won't do that.
Assuming the booth has a curtain.
Yeah, and does that not just make
I
us
can
look
fix that.
more?
Little booth without a curtain.
Look, you start setting
I will
up
say-
spellcasting in booths in the dark corners of taverns, looking suspicious. Next thing you know, you'll have a big exclamation mark floating over your head.
Well, with
Yep.
you lot around, I definitely will.
Oh, that'd be amazing, actually. Just like minor illusioning, exclamation marks over people's heads.
Go to the bar and put one above the innkeeper. And just wait for adventurers to get irate at him because he hasn't got a quest for them.
We should develop that as a curse. A curse that can only be cured by
Well-
having having someone complete a task for you.
Well, you do know that Bestow Curse does exist as a spell, and custom curses can be written.
Okay, so we can curse someone to have an exclamation float above their head until they give someone a task, at which point it becomes a question mark until that task is completed and returned to.
Kiki, what you're describing is literally a thing that they put in Magicka right near the start of the game.
So, what you are describing is absolutely something that is within the realm of the use of the Bestow Curse spell, with one exception. Unless you cast it at 9th level, it has a limited duration.
Which is
The limited duration goes up depending on the spell slot used. For example, I believe if you cast it at 5th level, the curse lasts for, I think, 10 years.
that's pretty
That's
good.
plenty of time.
Yeah.
Hang on a moment. Let me look this up. Bestow Curse.
What you want to do is you want to put that on the
No,
stealthiest thief in the Thieves Guild.
If you cast this spell using 4th level or higher, the duration goes up to 10 minutes. If you cast using 5th, it goes up to 8 hours. 7th is 24 hours. And... oh. That's odd. It goes from cast at 7th level for a 24-hour curse, cast at 9th level for eternity. I feel like that's a bit wrong, you know, for a 3rd level spell. I'm going to have to rewrite those durations a bit.
Anyway, presumably we can get some dinner, take it upstairs with us, rent a room, and do some clairvoyance.
Indeed. You can absolutely rent a room in like an inn or something to that effect. I would say if you just want to rent a room for the day/night, one that is capable of housing, say, a room that is capable of bedding 2 people, which would be capable of temporarily housing all of it. That would cost you that would cost you 3 gold for the night.
I mean, alternatively, we could just do it in a rope trick dimension.
Yeah.
Spells can't cross dimensions. If you go into a pocket dimension and cast it, it wouldn't work.
Ooh.
What
Yeah.
is the actual thing you do to cast this spell? Like, do you have to say certain words, wave your fingers or something? Like, or is it just like you just sit there and not move?
Well, okay. Basically, you would sit in a cross-legged position, glowing and humming ominously for 20 minutes. Or alternatively, something that is equally eye-catching for 20 minutes.
Could I replace glowing and humming for 20 minutes with playing my guitar?
You could, but it would be playing the guitar with an ominous aura.
I mean, we could do that.
Magic. Look, to use a term that a friend of mine came up with, casting magic gives off whammies. Whammies make people uncomfortable.
I was just thinking though, like, it's a bass guitar, start doing some ominous chords, and the rest of you could like chime in to cover up the ominousness of it, and maybe make it into an impromptu performance somewhere.
Well, we've already come to the conclusion that booking a room in a nearby inn would be a perfectly acceptable solution. So I recommend that you go through with that.
Yuki.
Okay.
If you do decide to go through with that, which it sounds like you are, your clairvoyance sensor is indeed able to manifest itself inside of the area. I presume that... give me a minute. I'm going to read what this clairvoyance spell actually says and describe the results to you in the most charitable manner I can.
Okay, I've gone with the visual, not the sound version.
I figured as much. It doesn't say precisely... it doesn't say precisely where the sensor appears inside of the warehouse. So I'm going to say when you manifest this inside the warehouse, you put it in roughly center of the approximate center of the warehouse, hovering near the roof.
Yeah, okay.
Doing this gives you a view that is mostly unobstructed. You can see that inside of this warehouse there are a variety of stacked wooden crates. These wooden crates appear to predominantly be just completely opaque. You don't see what they contain. You see that there are a variety of shipping companies that own various bits and pieces. You can see what, at first glance, there appears to be 3 different shipping company names that are all located here. One of which you recognize as being the state-owned Fire Iron Concordat company. The others just being generic private institutions. What does catch your eye, though, is that it appears as though Warehouse 6B, well, I would say, yeah, I'll just give this to you without asking you to roll, actually. You have been able to get a better view of this place than most people thanks to your sensor, and looking at how it is portrayed on the map as being as part of a cluster of identical warehouses, this warehouse, you can only assume, has exceptionally thick walls, as it appears as though that it's much smaller on the inside than on the outside.
How big are the crates, by the way? Are they big enough to fit people in?
They are big enough to fit people in if they were uncomfortable. Like,
that's a yes.
That is to say, they're about a meter in each direction. You'd expect between 3 to 4 feet. It appears as though there are different sizes of crates depending on who they are apparently labeled as being owned by.
I would like to basically grab a piece of parchment and use it to draw out the layout as I can see it, so everyone else is familiar with the layout. And I'll point out that the walls seem unusually thick for the size of the building. That we saw this from the outside, or other ones like it from the outside.
Well, so far you haven't actually taken a personal look at any of these warehouses. You're just looking at the square footage of what was represented on the map versus what you're actually able to see with the sensor. There appears to be a considerable amount of maybe like a 15% disparity between these sizes.
But yeah, as I say, I'm gonna draw a layout so everyone's familiar with the layout of the place. You know, where the big crates are, where any doors or windows are, that sort of thing, and I'll describe everything I see to the party.
Righto. Basically, you are described to you effectively a small maze-like structure that exists within this area. I'm going to make a ruling on this clairvoyance now. I'm going to say that this spell, so long as the location that you are viewing is the same location, you can move the clairvoyance sensor around.
Okay,
so it's not fixed. It's not fixed in one position. You're able to do some ad hoc exploring with it.
I'd like to explore. Am I able to move it through walls?
No.
Am I able to move it through windows?
It is not able to pass through It is not able to pass through any object that you could not put a mundane object through. So, like, for example, if you can't push your hand through it, you can't push the sensor through it.
Right.
And it is also not able to pass through a window, doorway, or other portal that would lead to the sensor being considered in a different location. For example, if you try to have the sensor pass through an open window, it would no longer be considered in Warehouse 6B. It would then be considered outside of Warehouse 6B and fizzle.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to have it like scout around. In particular, I'm trying to keep an eye out for anything that might look like hidden doors or trap doors or something like that in the room.
All right, make me a perception check.
Sure.
So it can move around the map, but it can't trigger loading screens.
Effectively, yes.
There's a memory limit on this game. Can't have more than 2 areas loaded at once.
Yeah. Very good. With that, I will say that you are able to pick up on 2 important pieces of information. First of all, it appears as though that the structure of the crates in this area appears to it appears to go in an almost like. Have you ever been to Costco?
Yes, many times.
I have.
Yes.
Huge aisles, very big shelves. Think that, except instead of shelves, it's crates. That's the overall structure of the stored goods here. That is the first point of note that you're able to find. The second point of note that you're able to find is the fact that it appears as though, upon spotting what is obviously one of the doorways into this area, you're able to see that the doorway. How best to describe this? It looks as though the door is on a wall that looks to be about 10 feet thick and is recessed about 5 feet into that wall, resulting in a large cut-out wedge, resulting in almost a tunnel that you would have to pass through to get from the inside to the outside. So it's
Okay.
exceptionally thick brickwork at the base, but as it leads towards the top, it appears to thin out, with the roof being supported primarily with stonework archways, and otherwise there being glass windows causing at least some degree of weather mitigation.
Okay. Does said door like have a keyhole or anything in it, or has it got like a glass window I can look through?
Looking at this door, it doesn't appear to have a window passing through. It appears as though there is no way to be able to peer to the inside of the warehouse without physically going in from the outside. The door, however, does appear to have a keyhole, which you presume is for just simple security purposes.
Can I peer through the keyhole?
As you position the sensor to try and look through the keyhole, you're not able to make out any detail. It appears to just look out into blindingly bright light.
Okay, wait. So that's outside.
Indeed.
Oh, right. Okay. Are there?
At least that's what you presume.
Okay, I'll note it down on the map I'm scribbling for everyone. I suppose the only other thing to ask then is there anything that looks obviously like it shouldn't be there? Like maybe one of the crates has a logo that looks particularly unusual for Varpac?
No.
It's worth noting down, if you can, some of the names of the companies in there, because we might be able to get some leads on those, on the crates.
That's a good idea.
Righto. You know what? Give me a moment. I'm going to do a quick mock-up of what it is that you're looking at.
Okay.
I'll need a moment to quickly draw something up here. You know what? It'll be easier if I do this.
What have you done?
Do what?
The green dots are the doors.
Am I the only one that can see the stream?
Oh. Right, yes, sorry.
Oh, you're streaming.
Let me just...
Indeed, I am.
Yes.
I am streaming this.
Right, okay.
He's stitching right now.
Yep.
The blue is the available walking space. The white is the space that you can't realistically walk because
Shoving you.
there's stuff in the way.
Yeah.
Cool.
The green are the doors, and the only windows are way up into the top of the structure.
Just me that thinks
The black,
that looks like an 18-speed gearbox.
I can't unsee it now.
Shifting to 15th gear.
That's how you get a 50cc car up to 200 miles an hour.
yeah, clearly. fucking 18-speed gearbox. What the fuck?
I mean, you know, it is.
It is
Oh, I thought
actually
you-
18, yeah.
So you figured out
Yeah.
how to go fast on the easiest setting of Mario Kart. I get it.
So yes, that's what you are looking at. In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and take this and post that in here for you, so that those who don't want to tune into the stream can look at Discord instead. So,
Okay.
that's what you've been able to discover from this. And it's worth pointing out that this outer wall here it's like very thick.
Whoa. Oh, the doorways are blocked.
Yeah.
Indeed they are.
May I
Hey.
suggest that it is... I know we said we'd go on till 1. It is midnight. I know I'm getting quite tired. I feel like we are at a point where we can probably, at next session, call a nice end. And,
You are tired.
sorry?
You are tired.
Yeah, I'm saying that, and I'm also saying it's probably a good place for us to call a nice end that's reasonably rounded, where we can move next week into the warehouse. And Ginge, if you want to chat with me in the meantime, and during the week even, and I can bring a map up make a map up for the warehouse for us, then that's also feasible.
Sounds like a good idea to me, Kiki.
Yeah, works for me.
Oh, hang
I'm
on
fine.
just a moment.
Hanging. I can't breathe, I'm hanging.
Yeah, if you want to help out in getting a good map drawn up, that'd be brilliant, Kiki. I'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't mind at all. And a Costco style warehouse is very easy. It'll probably take like half an hour at most.
Yeah. Now, there would be some details that I probably have to spoil you on for the purposes of creating precisely what it is that would make this place so interesting to be in. But if that's something that you're willing to do, then that's something that you're willing to do.
Well, even if you don't want to spoil me on them, you really are more than welcome to make the map with those areas blanked out, and you can draw them on later if you want, you know.
Fair
If-
enough, fair enough.
This is going to be a Costco warehouse. Are we going to have a random NPC at one of the intersections just offering free samples of food?
Look, only
Absolutely.
the arrangement of the impassable boundaries were similar to Costco in that it's just rows upon rows upon rows of stuff.
No, I'm sorry, Ginge. I'm gonna have to veto that in the map creation and include at least 5 stalls, so that as you go round, you can get yourself a full afternoon lunch from free samples.
We can use minor illusion
I
to disguise ourselves so we can get more.
I think the important thing is that at the entrance there's someone checking for your membership card.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
also checking your receipt as you leave.
It's okay because we've got the passphrase.
We do? I thought there was.
There
no
is not.
passphrase.
There isn't one.
There isn't one.
Yeah, there
No,
isn't
it's
one.
not. There isn't one. There is no password, isn't it?
No,
I think there isn't one.
There isn't one.
It is. There isn't one. There we go.
Yeah, because the question was phrased as, you know, if there was a password or phrase. So there isn't one would be the answer. See, I pay
Perfect.
attention.
So long as we don't have to pay up for an executive membership or something, we're fine.
Well, I mean, Trig's got that psychic paper, doesn't he?
You get 3% off on gas with this card as well.
Not much of it yet, or left rather, but yes. I think I've got AP.
You know,
Well, you got enough to create a Costco card.
you know what though? I think it could be worth joining up anyway. I mean, there's some decent deals around. We can buy stuff at cost from the warehouses, and we'll probably get some discount feed for the horses in their feed stations.
Oh yeah, I mean it's nothing like buying your rice in 10-kilo bags, and spaghetti.
And like a high octane horse feed in order to get that extra efficiency out of them on a long trek.
This joke is getting quite out of control.
Indeed.
Trig, are we still live?
We are still live, yes.
Goodbye,
we
people.
Shouldn't be.
As we shouldn't be. Okay, right. Okay, good night, everyone. We have had a concurrent
Good night,
viewer
everybody.
for most of it, so a good night to that person who I
Is it
can't
you?
pronounce his name.
Wasn't
No.
me.
No, it's Vitus.
No, someone actually typed. I looked at it earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
So yeah, good night,
My
viewer.
God.
Enjoy. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll catch you all next week. We're still doing them next week, or yes, it's 2 more episodes, isn't it? Before we pack up for Christmas.
2 more episodes before I leave.
Yep, there he is. He's still watching. Good night, dude. Hope you enjoyed it.
Oh yes, I see him right there.
Well,
Vituixman.
I can't
Good night
pronounce
to you.
that, but good night to you. Right.
Oh.
We are. It's finished.